Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here. I'm going to do a couple more composite area questions. Now, if you take a look at number 3, this one's a little bit different than the ones we've done before. In the other ones, we've been adding multiple areas together, but this one we have to look at a bit differently. So it says calculate the area of the white region. So we have this blue square in the middle, and I know it's a square because it has these little indicators indicating that all 4 sides are the same length. So what we need to do in this question is we need to calculate the area of the entire white rectangle, white and blue together. Then we need to calculate the area of the blue, and then this time we need to subtract the blue out of there. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to label some things. First of all, I'm going to calculate the white and the blue together. So maybe I'll call this W and B for white and blue. And I'm going to call this area equals length times width. Now if you look at the larger rectangle, the length is 12, the width is 6. So I'm going to do area equals 12 times 6, using my parentheses. Area equals 72 centimeters squared. Next, I want to calculate the area of the blue one. The blue one's a square again, so it has the length and the width the same. I'm going to label this guy. I'm going to say blue. So that's area equals length times width. Or you could use side times side because it's all the sides are the same. Area equals 4 times 4. Area equals 16 centimeters squared. Now the last thing we can do to get the white is just take the white and subtract the blue. So I'm going to label this part, I'm going to call it the white part. And we know the white and the blue together is 72. If we take away the blue part, that's 16. Okay, I'll borrow from the 7, make this 6. This becomes 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. And 6 minus 1 is 5. And don't forget your units of measurement, centimeters squared. So, the total area of the white part in this question is 56 centimeters squared. And in this case, we had to do a couple of areas and then do some subtracting. Last question. Number 4. We've got 3 shapes. We've got basically a letter H shape. So I'm going to divide this up into some obvious rectangles. You can see them right there. I'm going to call this A1, this A2, and this A3. Now to look at A1, I need a length, and I've got one, it's 12, and I've got a width of 4. So let's calculate A1. I'm going to do this on a separate slide. So I'm going to say A1 equals length times width. A1 equals 12 times 4. A1 equals 48 centimeters squared. Okay, I'm going to flip back. Oh, this is meters. Oh, it's good to double check that, right? This is the unit of measurement here is meters. So that's meters squared. Okay, I'll flip back. I'm going to focus on A2 now. Now A2, I've got a length, it's 5. But I need this distance. I don't know what that distance is. So I've got to use the lengths I already know. Now I know from here to here is 12. So from here to here must also be 12. Well, I know this is 4. I know this is 5. That makes 9. So to make this distance add up to 12, to make this distance add up to 12, this distance here would have to be 3 meters. So I've got a 5 by 3 rectangle there. So for A2 equals length times width, A2 equals 5 times 3, A2 equals 15 meters squared. All right, let's go to A3 now. Now A3, I've got a width of 3, and I've got to assume here that since these are both the same length rectangles, that since this is 12, this will be 12. Guess I should be careful about that though, but it is pretty clear here that they're the same size rectangle. But in creating this question, I probably should have done something like this to indicate that those sides are the same. So I do have a 12 by 3 rectangle for A3. So I'm going to flip forward, and I'm going to say A3 equals length times width. A3 equals 12 times 3. A3 equals 36 meters squared. So I've got my 3 areas. To get the total, I add them up. And make sure you're labeling everything nicely like this, right? You can see the progression in this question. So I've got 48, 15, and 36. I'm going to add them up. 8 and 6 makes 14, plus 5 is 19. Carry the 1. 4 and 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. So the total area of that H shape is 99 meters squared. Again, notice how we label each part and do the math equation each time, so you can very easily see your thought progression here. A big part of mathematics is not just the answer, it's being able to describe your answer clearly. So when you're doing these questions on composite area, make sure you're labeling what you're doing, make sure you're using your math equations, make sure you're working down the page, and make sure you're labeling your answers with the correct unit of measurement. I'm going to give you some questions to practice on area now. Hopefully this is sort of making sense. Flexing Teacher Weber, out.